And we are now live. So happy Tuesday, everybody. I don't know what the weather's like where you guys are, but it was raining now and the sun is shining. So all good. Today we've got the awesome Mr. Ben Coombs on. Ben has just finished up, or a couple of weeks back, finished up in the 1% Blueprint program. He's kindly taken 20, 30 minutes out of his day to have a chat with us about his experience, what he's learned, and some of his, my words, not his, but I would say awesome successes. Before we dig into all of that, Ben, do you want to just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, a bit about you?
Yeah, thank you, mate. So I'm Ben Coombs. I am a quantity surveyor by trade, but I run a business based down here in Brighton. So we do project management and quantity surveying and building surveying. I do that with my business partner. So we have a firm of about 20 people. So that's the sort of background to me as a business owner, and I've got a wife and two young children as well, sort of 11 and 9, which keep me on my toes as well.
Yeah, awesome, thank you. So by all accounts, lots going on, business, family, the whole piece, right? So let's start off with what was going off and what were your motivations. So there's a bit of a narrative for this conversation. I think if we chat about, like, you know, where you were when we first started, then we can talk about some of your successes and then some of the key learnings that you've gone through for anyone watching this, so they can take some stuff from this. From that, let's sort of rewind, you know, sort of 3-4 months ago from when we first spoke. What was going off with you, and what was your motivation for talking to someone like me, a coach, about helping out?
So I think, and having gone through it and been there with you over the last sort of 12, there's a lot of people in the same boat, and I think it's very, very common, and particularly as either as a business owner or someone that's sort of reasonably high up or making decisions in a business. You become so focused on that that is always to the detriment of all the other things. So I would regularly. In fact, I've done it for probably the last 10, 12 years. You're just making excuses like, I'm too busy to exercise. I'm too busy to do this. And I do the same thing, rinse and repeat. I will get up. You might go and do sort of 12, 14, 15-hour days. You maybe do a bit of work on the weekends and the evenings. And it's always the same thing. Right, I'm going to crack this. Once I've got through this, it'll free my time up coming up in the next week or two. And it's a bit of a running joke with my wife, and she'd be saying, well, tomorrow never comes. You said once you finish this, it would be done. And it's never the same, because there's always something else. So accepting that is going to be the case, you think, well, okay, this isn't great. And then because you're so focused on your business, you're not necessarily present at home. And that was definitely the case with me, where I would be checking my work emails quite a lot over the evenings and the weekends, and I was there. I was present, but I wasn't.
Physically, yeah.
I was there just in physical form only. Mentally, I was either too knackered. I didn't really want to engage. I didn't want to do a lot of those things. And you just, by force of habit, come back and you start looking at emails and thinking about work things that go into the evening and then over the course of the weekend as well. So you start doing that, and after a while you think, I don't know, this isn't really living. This is sort of just existing, and there has to be a bit more to it. So I think your posts on Facebook, you might as well have written that specifically for me, and I dare say that might well be the case with a handful of other chaps. They were literally the same feelings that I was having, the same sort of thing. So that's why I reached out and to try and get that change. I think it's quite important that you invest in yourself and grow yourself in whatever way it is. So that was the decision made, really, for me.
I think what you said there is an important thing, and maybe perhaps I live in a slight echo chamber given the gents I work with and what I do, right? But I feel like there's a lot of guys out there that are, you know, by all accounts and from a well-intentioned place, one is put bread on the table, be successful, have a great business, all of that. But then as a byproduct, their own physical and mental well-being, then how they're showing up elsewhere in life is being, you know, to some more or lesser extent compromised, and then actually get into this negative feedback loop where you are just existing. It's all work. You haven't got the headspace for the stuff, and you sort of get stuck in these negative sort of patterns of behavior where you can't seem to sort of find a way out, and it can be tricky, right?
Well, I think the beautiful irony of it is that the only reason you're working that hard is to put food on the table, to make sure that the wife, the kids, have all got what they need, the house, the cars, everything like that. It looks great but actually what they want is your time, and they want you to be there, and you're not. They've got everything else, they just haven't got you, which is a big part of it, which is just not. It takes, and it's taken me 10, 15 years to work that out, but I bet better late than never, at least.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's a big thing. Maybe it's getting to a certain stage in life you start to realize that those success-based accolades, the physical things, it's nice to have them, and like money's great because it solves money problems, and it's not to say you don't want any of those things, but they don't bring true happiness, presence with everyone in and of themselves, right? And I think if you're not feeling good in yourself, well, then you can't be the best for the other people that you want to be and give them what they need as well. And that's the key thing.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more.
Cool. So that's where we were, right? I think maybe seeing one of my Instagram adverts or something like that, and then we had a chat, jumped on a call, we had a conversation. You were like, right, let's get going. Let's fast forward now, say 3 months from there, where we are today. Let's touch on some of your key successes and some of the the things that you've got out of the process and the program, and then once we do that, let's maybe touch in some of the things that you've learned in order for those things to happen. Does that make sense? So, what would your top 3 or 4 successes, or from
I think
coming to the program?
It wasn't a key aim when I started. I think I said the same thing to you, but I like probably a lot of blokes carrying a little bit of excess timber around the middle, but I'm quite tall. I'm relatively slim, but actually it became important to lose that weight, and it was, once you'd lost some of it, it was incredibly it's not necessarily noticeable externally, although I felt great as a result of doing it. So I lost about 10 kilograms. I've lost.
And interesting, like you said, that wasn't your burning bridge when we started. It was very much getting the balance and presence bit right. That was just you're like, if that can happen, great, but I'm not bothered. But then that you realise actually, in taking ownership of that and showing yourself you can achieve better things with your physicality, that in and of itself helps raise your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself, right?
Well, that bit I hadn't really linked to at the beginning. So the reality is having lost all of that, so sort of 1.5 stone, is pushing nearly 2 stone now, which is great. Is that actually you can wear shirts that you weren't previously, and you feel happier in them. You're looking down, and you think, well, okay, there's not as much belly there, which is great, and all those little things. You feel better about yourself, and that portrays out into the wider world, and how you've got more confidence as a result of it. So that is definitely the case. So that was a huge one. I was very much one for my regular day. I'd be up. I would probably drink in excessive amounts of tea. I never really drank water. Really, it was just tea, and that was where I was getting it from. And if I was playing football or something like that, I would have a bit of water after that, but that would be about it. So again, sort of little things like drinking water, exercising, those sorts of things, bringing them into your day to day, and having a structure and a toolkit to help you with that. So the byproduct has been some great weight loss. Focus has been another huge shift. So being able to sit at your desk for however many hours of a day, but actually be very productive in those 8 hours, to give you enough time to think, oh, do you know what? Rather than where I was normally, I to be honest, my normal working step count of a day is probably not a million miles away from 1,000 steps, just being sat at a desk all day. Now I'm up to sort of 8 to 10,000 probably a day, because I'm more efficient at working. I've got more focus. I can get through it quicker. I can do more, and then I can go and just have 10 minutes walk around the block. Walk around the block with the kids as well, which is nice. So you're spending time in different ways, so you can actually finish the working day when you're meant to, because you've done everything that you wanted to. So that's been another huge sort of addition to it as well.
I think the focus one and the energy at work is important, because prior to this and making some changes, you were getting the job done, but at what cost? And it was actually, costing your physical health, your mental health, and not, and then having to bleed over into other areas to do it. Whereas because conversely, well, I ain't got enough time. But it's like, well, actually, if you're able to operate better and more efficiently and get more out of the time that you've got, you don't need to cannibalize as much time elsewhere. But not only that, you're not like overexerting energy to just get the base level done. Like the analogy I give is sometimes if you're not feeling your best, like when you're at work, it's like doing, going down the motorway in second gear. You're like, wee! Whereas actually, if you're aligned with where you need to be, you don't need to expend extra effort just to be normal. Not only that, you can be more focused and get the right stuff done. So then you've got the time elsewhere versus going hell for leather, starfishing at the end of the day, and then still having to do more.
I think that's entirely right, and you've got more time as a result of it, and you can use that to whatever you want to do. You can find that time, and I was always so no, I'm too busy, but you're not too busy. You're just not being as productive as you think you can be. So I think they're sort of two of the big ones, and the other one is really reconnecting sort of back with the three strangers that were in my house. So we're now doing stuff. You can spend time, and they've ended up copying the sort of routines that I've got into, which is something I was not really expecting. That there is an appetite from them. Not forced at all. They're just mimicking what they're seeing, and the kids are doing exercise and they're walking around the block, and, which is lovely. They're just following it because that's the example you're setting, which is great for an adult to say, well, these are some good habits to get into, and they're following on with it,
because you can say that stuff, but if your actions aren't aligned with what you're saying, then it doesn't really mean an awful lot. And the fact that like my son Nino and my daughter, like they'll come in here, like this is my office, little weights and stuff here, and every now and then go, Daddy, can I throw some weights around? And it's not because I'm making them, just like you're not making your kids, but they see those good healthy habits and behaviors, and like, I want some of that because you're their superhero, right? And if your daddy's doing it, I want to do it, and that's a real good thing. And it's that leading your family in the right way with positive behaviors and actions. I think that's a real powerful thing.
Yeah, and that's been great. That's been great to see. However long it lasts for, you take it with them. But
we're telling us to F off soon, but enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, no, that's been great to see. Yeah,
nice. So then, I guess two big key takeaways. Not that it was a burning bridge, but lost a chunk of weight, which has then helped self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, and then your general energy in the day-to-day, allowing you to be more focused at work and get what you need to get done. But then also having the balance, so then you can spend time with your family, because that's what it's all about, right? So then, if that's like the state we're in right now, what would you say some of the key learnings that you've taken that have helped sort of achieve that and get to that? Like, what are some of the things that you've taken from the process?
So I would imagine quite a lot of people are probably, in fact, I dare say the vast majority of people would probably be in a similar thing where you go through cycles. You see everybody that will do it in January because you've eaten crap all over Christmas, and then you think, well, I've got to have a health kick in January. And people go through different things. You try different weight loss plans. You'll commit to it for 2 or 3 weeks and go hell for leather, which is great at the time, but it's cyclical and it's not sustainable. So the massive bit I got with working with you is that obviously you build up, you add incrementally over a period of time. So you get used to doing certain bits just to start you off, and they're not too taxing. They are just get on with it and get them done, and actually you start really feeling the benefits, and then you start adding to it week on week and building it up, and by the time you get to the end of it, you're armed with a toolkit of what you need to take away the day. So things, and again, some of this is some of this people have probably tried. You might take things like journaling, and I wasn't. In fact, I never really journaled at all. But after sort of lockdown, when you're sort of set up in a room, for example, like I am here up in the office, if you've had a bad day, it's very, very difficult to go from having a rubbish day to then sort of walking out the back straight into being a dad without.
Oh, fine, yeah, exactly, yeah.
You've got which is, in hindsight, the commute was actually quite a nice thing, because you could have half hour, 45 minutes to chuck the radio on and
decompress, right?
Decompress and just get it out of your system. Whereas, and then you can walk through the door and you've got it out. Going from A to B literally within 2 or 3 paces it's been quite difficult. So, but again, little tools like that to learn how to just leave work at the desk and then walk out and think, yeah, okay, this is good. So again, adding tools like that, and so that when you come away from it, like you and I finished sort of doing the program sort of what 2-3 weeks ago, and you just carry it on because you've got that toolkit things. And then when things are inevitably at different points, work will get busy, you'll go away on holiday, you do all of those sorts of things, which is normally what a lot of people think, oh, right, okay. Or you've had a big night out and you think, oh, I'm not doing it tomorrow morning. Actually, there's loads of little things that you can just say, oh, well, is it that difficult to do it, even with a hangover? No, it's not. You can get them done and you can stick them in the back pocket. And my routine now, I've got up in the morning, I've done some exercise, I've drunk some water, I've had some vitamins, I've had a shower. I've done all of that by sort of 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And then I've got the day. So I know that come the end of the day, I've already got in the bank at 9 o'clock. I've already got half the day bank of the key things that I need to do to make me function better. So I think there's a lot of that, which some great sort of takeaways just to help manage your day. And that's a satisfying feeling to look at 9 o'clock. Yeah. Oh, do you know what? I've done this.
You've done a load of stuff for yourself already and it feels good. And I think having some discipline, routine, instruction, I think some people can get scared of the word discipline and routine, but that's where freedom comes. Because if you've got some standards for yourself that help you take care of yourself mentally, practically, behaviorally, physically, the whole lot, well, that goes so well to allowing you to be your best and be the dad, the leader, the businessman, whatever that you want to be. When we haven't got that and we're floundering, I find that's a hard state to feel grateful. And there's something you said there about the holidays bit. It's like, going through a process like this, though, it's not like let's just have some perfect 12 weeks. If you think you're not going to have holidays, nights out, stressful work times, like in the future when we're not working together, it's absolute fucking madness. Of course you will. So that's life, right? And to shy away from that doesn't make any sense because you need to be able to know how to roll with it and deal with it. And that's like you say.
You need to be able to go and have days out. We need to live life. If you want to go and have a skinful of beer on a Friday night, then have a skinful of beer. But you can't then say, or you can, but like the following day, you are going to feel ropey. But that's what you've agreed to do. But then what you don't then do is like what a lot of people say. Do you know what? I'll wait till Monday. I'm going away on holiday. I'm not going to do anything. Absolutely fine. That's what holidays for, is for relaxing and decompressing and enjoying. But actually, you can still walk. You can still go and do some steps. You can still drink water. You can still do some of the other basic tools. You just take what you want out of it.
It's ebbing and flowing with what you've got going on in life, right? And like I say, holidays for relaxing and enjoying yourself. But if you've got a framework and a toolkit that's serving you, you can adapt that given the circumstances that you've got going on. And day to day, week to week, when you're in the normal routine, you've probably got an operating manual that serves that quite well. But then if holidays come in, nights out, kids get sick, whatever, you need to know that you can massage that to fit with it. And it's not binary. There's all this, or there's one perfect way or zero. It's like, no, there's grey. And I think it's being comfortable being in that sort of state of like, yes, the standards I've got for myself, but they can and need to flex and flow with the beauty of life, right? Well, or the stress of life, if you look at it that way.
Things come and go. Life gets difficult. Life gets easy in waves. And exactly as you say, is that actually if you've got a baseline level of what you're happy doing, or very easily you can just drop back in and pick it up because you know that it's successful, then you gravitate back towards it. So you're not just thinking, right, crap, I've got to get up and I've got to do 50 sit-ups, 50 push-ups, and run 5K before the morning. You haven't got to do any of that. You can if you want to, but like just starting easy with steps or just up in what you're doing. But in some cases, for me, I've gone from 1,000 steps really to 10,000, or give or take. It's not always that, but that is just going and having a walk around the block, which decompresses your mind, and actually it's some good stuff.
And what's interesting with that is probably 30, 40 weeks ago, someone said, try and fit that in. You're like, oh, no way, I'm too busy, I can't. But like, you're still doing very well in your career, your business is going well. That's all. None of that's fallen over the last 12 weeks. Arguably probably gone better. I mean, you can tell me, but like, so so that hasn't compromised anything. But it's just if we're stuck in these negative ways of thinking and you can't see the wood for the tree sometimes, it's hard to think like, how on earth can I find the time? Well, you can. It's there. You just can't see it, I think, is a lot of the time, you know?
But a lot of it is like I would come home and you decompress with a couple of glasses of wine. You'd have probably more takeaways than you probably should. If you're putting crap in the car, if you're putting rubbish in, you get rubbish out. So by changing that up slightly, you can perform a lot better. And you've got that mental capacity to then find the time because it's there. It's not difficult. You're just choosing to like a lot of us want to stay in bed for an extra half an hour because you can't be asked to exercise. And now actually that isn't the case.
Nice. So, and this is a bit of a left field question, Ben, so you can answer whatever you want. I think we've got some clarity on like where you were, where you are now, and then some of the key learnings here. What, if anything, was a bit surprising that you thought, oh, I'm not sure about that? Like, was there anything about the process that made you think differently, I guess, is a way to think about it.
I think, again, a lot of these things I've tried, I've not. I think you've got to go into it with an open mind, which I think that's massive. I don't think you should ever go in and just say, well, I'm not doing this. So like, I've quite enjoyed like journaling. That was not for me. That was like quite woo woo. I'm thinking no. I don't want to sit here and write Dear Diary and this is it. Actually, I'm not. I might just write 2 or 3 lines about X person or X thing that I did in the day that cheesed me off, or actually these are some gentle reminders that I need to pick up tomorrow. And actually, I write invariably when I've gone back and had a look back. It gives you an opportunity just to get that off your chest. And you can write things that have gone well. And invariably, when you look back and think, actually, I think a couple of things have gone really well.
Dealt with that pretty well, actually. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, actually, I've got it out of the system. 3 things or so that went well, and you think, oh, actually, yeah, there's more going right than there is going wrong. And that, looking back on that, is quite good. So things like that was there. I mean, we've done things like meditating, and I'll take that. I don't know, do that every day, but some days I'll do it. Some days I'll add it in. It's my part of my morning routine. But some days, no, okay, but it's there, and it's having that tool that you can drip back into it when you want it. So you haven't then. But I think probably the biggest change I've had is cutting back, which I found quite surprisingly easy, is cutting back on alcohol. So I might just have one day in the week, and that's it. And it's not necessarily, you can have the big session, and I have done throughout the course. So I've had good sessions, but then throughout the week, I'm not having 2 or 3 glasses of wine of a night at all, which I haven't missed, which I thought I would. And I know that can be a big struggle for a lot of people. You become sort of somewhat dependent on it to decompress. That's your view. So that's been a great takeaway. So and that helps with the focus and the clear mind of the morning. You're not as groggy or any of that, and that allows you to get up and think, right, I'm going to hit the day and attack it, because you're not hanging out your arse.
Exactly. And I think that the thing with the alcohol thing, if it's used to decompress or unwind or de-stress, as you know, I'm a firm proponent about balance, and I like to go out. I had a big weekend on Saturday as well. I was at a wedding in Doncaster, and Doncaster weddings, they're pretty boozy, right? But if alcohol use is manifesting in a way to decompress, de-stress, you've had a good day, you've had a bad day, for me, all that does really is highlighting there's probably stuff elsewhere in life that isn't set up in the right way to serve you, because you're using that for that. Like alcohol, I mean, my take is it should be used for enjoyment and fun and date nights and going out and all that sort of celebratory kind of stuff, the things that are fun. If it's being used to make you go, that's probably an indication that things elsewhere in life, be that work, professional, whatever, aren't geared up in the way for you to get the most out of it. And so then when you've got those things working, you don't need that. You can decompress without it, and then you use it for the fun stuff, right? And then the knock-on benefit is you're not got like a mild hangover some days because you've had 2 glasses of wine to unwind,
Exactly. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Nice. So I think by all accounts, Ben, I don't want to keep you too long because I know you're a very busy man. We're talking about time, right? We don't want to use too much of your time. I think you've totally smashed it, and it's been a pleasure working with you. I think some of your insights there around the timepiece and, getting the balance, I think, has been hopefully really helpful for anyone who's watching. Let's say anyone was watching and they were sort of how you were feeling, maybe, sort of three or so months back, and they were kind of sitting here thinking, oh, yeah, I might, there's a coach there, maybe I haven't got enough time. Is now the right time to do something? Like, what would you say to someone who's kind of on the fence with it, but they know they need to make a change, I guess?
I think if you know that you need to make a change, and I think you have to address that honestly, is like, are things rosy in the garden, and have you got are you giving, particularly those that are at home and those that you're working with, are you giving them the best version of yourself? And if the answer is, I could be doing a lot better, then I think having someone like yourself and working through and putting together a very, very manageable toolkit that you can take with you in life. Not just, I know it's a 12-week or so program, but I'm 3 weeks past that, and I know there's plenty of others that are doing the same, and you've got that toolkit, and that'll stick with you. And then when times do get tough, and they will, is you've got that there with you. So I think giving yourself an honest appraisal, and I think a lot of that will resonate with a lot of people, and then thinking, actually, yeah, I do need to just reach out and say things aren't quite right, but what can I do about it? Which is a big step, is to say, right, yeah, I can change it. I think it's really, really important to invest, particularly as sort of a business owner or someone like that, where time is sucked away by all the pressures of running a business or managing people, is to give the best version of yourself. You've got to invest in yourself, and that might be reading, education, learning, and this is all part of it. Mentally challenging yourself and arming yourself so that you can actually change your life, because it is very life transforming in having that and being present. So for me, actually being at home and being in the moment, I've never been in the moment. I've always looked to the future, thinking things will get better, and they never do. But actually being in it and enjoying it is really, really nice. So getting that back before the kids get too old and you've missed all of that, or the wife's got cheesed off with you, which is invariably the case. But yeah, all of those little things, I think, is probably one of the best things I've ever done. Awesome. So I couldn't recommend that more highly enough to anyone. Just to give it a go. Reach out, have a chat, and have a look at it. And I'm sure you'll see plenty of other people that have done these like you and I do it now, and they will probably all be saying the same thing. It is life transforming.
Awesome. Well, on that, so ringing endorsement, Ben. So thank you very much. And what you're just saying there about that, being present and being in the moment, like, it's almost corny and cliche to say, but that is what life's about. Like, I think we so often sort of put ourselves, oh, things will be better then, or when I have this holiday and all these things. It's nice to have things to work towards, but if you're not happy in the moment and you're not present, like, what's the point? Because life's just going to go, like that, right? So I think that's awesome.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the bigger takeaways. Certainly one of the bigger changes for me. So yeah, I couldn't recommend it highly enough for those thinking about doing it.
Thank you very much, Ben. Well, on that note, thank you very much for your time. I hope anyone watching have got a lot out of it. I think, like I said, taking a step back, Ben, it's been a pleasure working with you. There's all the success you've got, and I know you're going to keep on flying with all this stuff. So it's been great to work with you. If anyone is interested in having a chat, and working on some stuff like we did with Ben, give me a shout, drop me a note in the comments, or drop me a message. On that note, have an amazing Tuesday, guys, and we'll speak soon. Ben, thank you. Cheers.
Thanks all. Cheers,
guys. Bye-bye.